Hi and welcome to week 11 of this mobility and flexibility series, where this week we're going to be looking at a few of sort of loaded mobility exercises for the upper body and spine. So it's going to be predominantly a shoulder exercise and then a few variations on spinal movements. Before next week, for our final week, we put all of the loaded mobility together into a nice little routine that you can use ongoing after we've gone through and we've explained everything in these 3 weeks, and then we can just crack on with it in the fourth and final week of this series. So let's get started. So you'll remember with the shoulder mobility work that we've done previously, we've done work where we've done METs to help increase the transient range of our shoulders for short periods. And you'll remember that in some of the static work that we did early on, we actually did some movement work where we were trying to reach into range as we went round the range of motion of the shoulder. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to build on that and we're going to use it in a way where gravity is working against us, so that we're having to engage our muscles for sort of stability, strength and movement all the way through the rotation of the shoulder. As I mentioned last time we did this, we also need to pay attention to how the shoulder blades are moving. Okay, so as a quick reminder, when the arm is coming forward, the shoulder blade is rolling forward, what is known as protraction. When the arm's coming up, the shoulder blade is going up like a shrug. Okay, it's elevation. And as it comes behind us, the shoulder blade is going backwards. It's being pinched towards our spine. That's retraction. And then it's coming down into kind of that reverse shrug known as depression. Okay, so we've got our shoulder blade is moving as well as our arm. So how are we going to do this loaded in such a way that gravity is working against us and we have to actually put some effort in? Well, we're going to do that whilst lying on our side. So our arm is being pulled down towards the floor by gravity in all scenarios. And obviously this is something that you could load up a little bit more if you find this too easy. You could hold maybe a small weight in your hand whilst you're doing the movements. I'd start off really, really low, you know, something like a very small bottle of water, like a 250 ml bottle of water or something. You know, we're not looking big here to begin with, because we're going to be working quite hard in range. But let's start with an empty hand. And I'll start with my left arm, so I'm going to lie on my right side. Obviously, it goes without saying that for this, you want to make sure that you've got some space around you. You're not going to hit objects around you. So I'm going to start with my arm out in front of me. And the idea is that you try and keep your hand the same distance from the floor all the way around your body. Okay. So we're not letting the hand droop, and ideally the hand isn't coming up really high, because we're really helping push our shoulder blade, push our arm backwards in order to get that range. And so we come across, roll the shoulder forward, shoulder blade is now coming up as the hand goes overhead. As the arm moves out to the back, the shoulder blade is now retracting, pinching towards my spine. Now the shoulder blade is down in a reverse shrug, and we continue. So for me, this is probably the most challenging area. So I'm going to take my time going through it. And then I'm going to come back round. And of course, we can do the reverse. So again, I'm coming through where I find it most challenging. I'm being really careful to keep my hand as level with the floor as possible. And then I'm going to come back round. So I'm now going to move on to doing my right shoulder. Now I mentioned that if you were finding that reasonably easy, you could look at putting a little bit of weight into your hand. So here I've got just a couple of things that I've pulled out of my supplies cupboard whilst I'm doing therapy. So this is just a roll of the rubber stretchy band, TheraBand, that you might come across, but is probably weighing a couple of 100 grams, nothing more than that really, but obviously held out at length on my arm will add a little bit more load, a little bit more stability. And then I've got a light dumbbell. This one's 3 kilos. To be fair, this one's probably going to be a little bit too much for me at the extreme ranges of where I can go, but we'll give it a go. But I would start with sort of, more like a kilo to begin with in ideal circumstances. So shoulder blade rolls forward, shrugs up, really working quite hard. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling here to get my hand quite as low all the way around. I definitely have a bit of restriction in this shoulder, in this sort of, I don't know what you call it. If you were standing side on, to me, it's probably somewhere between 11 and 9. But as I practice this, even now, it's becoming a little bit easier. Bearing in mind, easier is a relative term. See how we get on with the dumbbell. So in a weird way, this may help because it's going to pull my arm down. But again, I don't want to go too low. So I'm going to have to work quite hard to resist the pull of gravity to keep my arm level. Because I don't want my arm to drop like this. It could do. If I let go, my arm can drop quite nicely behind me. Cool. And then we're going to go back. And there we go. So that's loaded shoulder mobility. So now we're going to look at a little bit more at a few alternatives for spine mobility, spine flexibility as well, and rotation and things. So again, we're going to be relying on gravity, or maybe a little bit of extra weight, heavy rucksack, that kind of thing, depending on the move we're doing. Now, we've obviously done a little bit of loaded mobility, loaded flexibility when we've been doing the METs. If you remember when we were holding a weight in one hand and doing a bit of side flexing with that weight and resisting it and going further, that you could use exactly the same, but rather than doing an MET, you could just use that as a bit more dynamic, a little bit more movement through it in order to get some nice mobility strength work there. Today what we're going to do is we're going to do some cat-cow, building that up into forward fold with a little bit of load involved to help there. So cat-cow is one of my favourite back mobility exercises to start people on, particularly if they have been struggling with a little bit of lower back stiffness or pain, because it's actually super safe, and it takes us into a different position than perhaps we're used to, which is really important when it comes to working with painful conditions. So cat-cow may well come up in all sorts of yoga, Pilates, all sorts of classes. But essentially, we're trying to go into a position where we've got hands under shoulders and knees under hips. And cat-cow is where we're going, and we're tilting our pelvis, which hopefully you can see here. I'm tilting my pelvis as if there's a bar going directly through my pelvis and out the other side, and I'm rotating my pelvis around the bar. And cat is, think of an angry cat. We're arching our back, we're tucking our pelvis in, and then cow, we're going down, we're sticking our bum out, and we're dropping our lower back into a nice deep curve, and then we're coming back up again. And because this is mobility, we're doing it dynamically, we're moving, we're not particularly holding in any one place. And that can be just a really nice place to start, okay? Because we can actually take the back through quite a lot of its range and take off some of the pressure. Now, we can build on this by going into what's known as a forward fold, or at least that's how I know of it, which is stolen from yoga, and where we are going to start bending down one vertebra at a time. We're sort of pretending we've got, you know, our backbones are stacked, and we're slowly just taking one at a time to slowly bend down, starting from the neck and all the way down as far as we can, keeping slightly soft knees, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So starting from the head, rounding the shoulders, let gravity take us, but we're not just flopping, we're resisting and going slowly. So we're engaging the muscles for this mobility. We're going as far as we can. And then at the bottom, we're letting go, just briefly. And then we're going to slowly come back up again in control. Okay. Now, we can do this with a little bit of load and start to work our backs. There's some misconceptions about things like the right way to lift, whether you should lift with a bent back or a straight back, bend your knees, all this kind of stuff. What it boils down to is your body adapts, and your body will adapt to whatever movement you practice, starting at low safe loads and building up to heavier, equally safe loads. If you do that progression, then you'll be fine. So most people should be quite comfortable under body weight, bending down, fully bent back, picking something up very light and coming back up again. So if I go back to the props that I was using earlier, and I take my couple of 100 grams equivalent to a water bottle or something, then actually I can afford to hold it in front of me now and do a forward fold, where now it's not just my body weight that I'm controlling down, it's the extra weight of my prop. And I can come back up again. Okay? And that hopefully should be fine for most people. Notice I haven't jumped straight in, and I'm not trying to lift a 100 kilo barbell off the floor using the same motion. I absolutely could do if I built myself up to it. It's essentially what we're doing here. So now I can move to something a bit heavier. So in this case, I've got my 3 kilo dumbbell. So I'm going to come down Nice and slow, nice and controlled. And I'm going to come back up again. Exactly the same, forward fold, nice and controlled with this. And that's a nice bit of loaded mobility where we're taking our back through range in flexion, which is obviously a position that we often find ourselves in, and we're putting it under a little bit of load using both gravity and a little bit of extra if you feel that's appropriate. So then the final kind of active mobility stuff that we're going to do as a bit of a change for the back is we're going to do some rotation. So rotation work, we've obviously done METs with that, and we can do that standing, and we can help push ourselves round using apparatus, a door frame, something like that, so we can kind of help increase that range. But that's not really active. That's my arm moving my back. What I want is my back engaging in order to take itself and work in that further range. Okay, we could do that standing and twisting, but we're not really working against much at that point, okay? Because gravity is pulling us down, but we're spinning, right? So gravity is not really having much of an impact. So what we can do is we can change our body position to encourage that, that activation of the musculature working against something like gravity. And for that, one of my favourite ones to do is to essentially do it in a sort of a bent over position where we're then rotating and reaching up. So I tend to do this in combination with maybe some stretching that I'm doing with my hamstrings. So in this situation, what we're going to do is we can bend forward, keeping a nice, relatively straight back, so we can do some comfortable twisting. I tend to have one knee slightly bent, so I can use it as something to lean against with my with the arm that's not really doing anything. And then I twist my body and reach up to the ceiling. And from here, I can try and twist myself further. Try not to push too much with this hand. Try and make it that your back muscles are doing the rotation. Come back down. Come back down. And come back down. I'm now going to do it facing the camera on my other side, so you can kind of see where my hands are ending up, relatively speaking. So slightly bent knee for me to lean against, arm up. So I'm almost straight up. A little bit further. A little bit further. And that's probably it. And that's felt like I've really helped work my back. It's worked into that further range. It's been working against gravity. It's been helping me do that twist. It's been helping get that arm round. And that's a nice sort of loaded mobility exercise. Okay, that's it for week 11. What we're going to do for week 12 is we're going to take all of that loaded mobility stuff and we're going to put that into a routine of about 15 minutes or so, so that once you've practiced with these 3 videos, once you're comfortable with some of the movements, you can just follow along on week 12 as a really nice sort of repeated mobility exercise for you to do on a regular basis. So thank you very much for joining me this week, and I will see you in our final chapter next week.